You're inspirational. Everything about you is amazing. Not afraid to step out, girl. You're trailblazing. Dedicated, hardworking woman. You're not playing. God first on top, non-stop. You keep praising and praying. You're inspirational. You're inspirational. You're inspirational.
Welcome back to Your Inspirational. I am your host, Sturdivant, and I am so excited to have with me Miss LaPorsha Hill.
Hello.
Hey, girl, I'm so excited. She is a traveling social worker, which I've never heard about traveling social working. I've always heard about traveling nurses and other jobs, but she's going to tell us about traveling, social working, and how she got into it, also about beauty and skincare, about mental health, and about dating. So she's a single woman and she's waiting on the Lord, and she's going to tell us how she waits. So she's going to go into details about so many different things. So stay tuned. I'm going to give it up to Miss LaPorsha.
Okay, so hey everyone. So as she mentioned, I am a traveling medical social work. After graduating with my master's degree at University of Cincinnati, I returned to Alabama where I began, I had to receive my license first, and then I started working in child welfare. So I transitioned from child welfare to UAB Hospital as a inpatient medical social worker. And anyone that knows me know that I love to travel. So I was speaking with someone one day, and they told me that, hey, just catching up. I'm a traveling nurse, and I said a traveling nurse, and she worked in a medical setting such as myself. So I began to explore ways to see if it was anything that I can do as a social worker. So long story short, I was able to connect with an agency, and I was able to get started within that career. And I have been traveling for the past 3 years. I worked as a social worker at UAB Hospital for 4.5 years before transitioning over to a traveling social worker. And I actually just completed one of my contracts with UAB Hospital, so I'm currently on break from traveling until the end of the summer.
Oh, wow. Now, with you being a traveling social worker, like, what is it for dating? Like, how is dating life, and how do you find time to date if you're from place to place?
To be honest, because I have always felt like I've traveled my whole life, I feel like anytime I was dating people at that time in different places.
Okay.
Because even when I lived in Ohio, I was dating someone in Alabama during the time that I was completing my master's program. And depending on where I travel to, sometimes it's easy for you to meet people in those places. But of course, if it doesn't turn into anything that you feel is going to grow into a relationship, then you guys may gradually keep in contact via phone. I wouldn't say that it's difficult to date while traveling, because I feel like if you're really interested in that person, then you will find ways to connect, stay in contact, and then if it does grow into something serious, then I always said that I will make my way into transitioning back into a full-time role into a certain area, depending on how serious it is. If you and that person, of course, begin discussing marriage, engagement, and all those different things. But for me, I would say it's just been difficult dating anywhere, because right now I'm not dating. But I do plan to, that's something, and I'm sure we'll get into it a little bit later, to start putting myself out there more, to begin dating. Sometimes as women in our career, you're just working, and you're not really thinking about dating. Of course, you meet people and you speak to people, and you guys conversate. You might have a dinner or go out for lunch or something, but it doesn't turn into anything serious because you have your mindset on something that you're doing, which can just be working or traveling or whatever it is.
So, now that you said that, like, about dating and women, because I know a lot of women, they're most of the time independent when they've been single for so long. So do you think that you'd be able to transition into marriage when you do meet that right person because you've been single for so long?
I think I will be, because even now, with me being in my mid 30s, I'm like, ooh, you're seeing more of your family, your friends, and I travel with a lot of my friends, and they have companions and they're in marriages, and you're like, ooh, I'm wanting those things. As I'm beginning to travel, I feel like I'm ready for those things, and even you know what, I'm going to say something that may surprise you, but I'm someone that, as much as I love my career, if I was, once I become a wife, if he's like, I don't want you to work as much, or we agree that I don't have to work as much, I think that would be something I could be able to do.
Yeah.
Because I feel like I will enjoy really being a wife,
Yeah.
and
becoming a mother.
becoming a mom,
Yeah.
and being at home, and I don't know if I would completely be able to step away, like maybe work. I've had some colleagues that I work with, they're married now, just seeing them transition to the role as a wife, and they still work. They work part-time or PRN per needed within the hospital, but it still allows them to always have that connection with their career, being a social worker, while also being a wife and taking care of their children. So for me, I honestly don't think it would be difficult.
Yeah. So let me ask you this though: what's preventing you from having the right person? Like, is it a list of things that you're looking for in a person, or has the right person not come yet? Like, what is it that, because you desire a spouse, but what's the deal breaker that's preventing it?
I would be very transparent. For me, I have never been in a relationship with someone that's saved.
Okay.
So
She's never been in a relationship with someone that's saved. I wanted to make sure I say that out loud. Like, but there are so many people who look saved and play these games. So she's trying to make sure she receives, because she's waiting for. So when that right person comes, she wants to make sure that they're saved, because there's a lot of crazy sickos out there.
absolutely, in my time spent with God, listening, hearing from God, being in church, attending Bible study, Sunday school, whatever it is, preparing myself so I can make sure that I'm right, so that God will allow me to recognize him when it comes, allow me not to recognize the fake, the phony, and like our bishop say, the counterfeit. So for me right now, I just want to make sure I do it the right way this time. I don't want to feel like I'm going in a cycle, in a circle, dating multiple men and they're not the right one. So this time, I think it has been a little bit of fear of me making sure it is the right one, and also knowing what it's like to date someone that's saved when I've never dated anyone that's saved before. So just making sure that I feel comfortable within myself, and that when I meet that person, I don't have to feel like I have to fake anything, but it will come off as genuine and authentic. So, and also putting myself out there. So it also has been me. I have, some people say if you're ready to date, if you're looking to date, if you're looking to marry, you have to go outside. Now, of course, I'm outside, but putting myself in certain places where I can be seen, even though I'm working, even though I may have to go outside in order to do, just my primary important things day on and day out. Making sure that I'm just being seen and I'm putting myself out there, going to conventions, going to certain events with the church, and all those different things.
I believe that when that right person comes, like, you don't have to put yourself anywhere. I believe God is going to allow that person to notice you. That's just my personal opinion, my personal thoughts or whatever. But also, like, sometimes, you meet people in unexpected places. Like, you could be going to the trash can and meet the right person. Like, I'm just saying, like, anything. But God will put people in place so that you can, like, so it doesn't take all the dating and the fornicating, you'll meet the right person. So.
Oh, and let me stop you, because I was listening to someone and she said, let me ask you this. She made a comment and she said, she don't believe that God requires us to date as far as going out on multiple dates.
You don't have to,
because God has this specific person for you already. So it's like, I can go out, I can meet people, we can grab lunch or whatever, but dating is like almost a waste of time, because God already has that specific person for you.
And I just think the flesh, sometimes, like, of course we've known that, like, dating, because you see that in this, is shown on television or it's shown like through media and all those things. But I don't believe that you have to date in or like just be in a serious relationship. I believe that that right person, you're gonna have peace in your heart and they're gonna have peace in theirs.
Yeah.
And so also I think the flesh, of course, you desire to be with someone. Sometimes you want to be comforted or you want to kiss somebody and you want to be touched. So sometimes you get yourself in these predicaments and you end up dating somebody and getting into these situations. Now you're foolish and doing dumb stuff, and then the right one sees and they're just like, nah, I'm good.
Yeah.
So that's why it's good to just wait, and God will reveal you to that right person.
Like
so while you're waiting.
Yeah.
So yeah, so tell us about your skincare because you really take care of your skin. She has like a whole thing that she does, and I don't.
Yes. So skincare for me also goes into self-care.
Yeah.
As a social worker, that is very important for me to take care of myself and to practice self-care. So maybe once, twice out of the month, I'm either getting a facial or I'm getting a massage, whatever it is that I want to do. That is like a must for me. Let's see, my last time getting a facial was last week.
Okay.
So this is something that I'm always doing. And then of course with skincare, it's genetics plays a big part into it, but also internally I'm drinking a lot of water. I'm trying to watch the things I eat. A lot of people don't know, but and not that this has anything to do with your skincare, but for me, I stay away from certain foods or products. I don't eat beef. I don't eat pork. I drink a lot of water. I try to do a lot with fitness. I'm not a big fitness person like Gigi may be, but I do try to make sure that I am staying active, doing something throughout the week, making sure I'm staying active. But I'm really into skincare. I love to try out products. One of my favorite stores is Sephora. And I'm learning that less is more. One thing I learned about when it comes to my skincare is that you can go out and spend all this money on your skin, but if you're not taking care of yourself internally, you're not going to use. It's almost like just putting makeup on it. I don't wear a lot of makeup. Today I do have a tinted moisturizer because it has SPF in it. But I feel like everyone should invest into really taking care of themselves. If you're getting a facial once a month, it doesn't have to be expensive. There are schools you can go to. I enjoy going to the Aveda school. They have the Paul Mitchell school here, and they have all type of schools that you can visit. But I feel like everyone should invest. Every woman should invest into taking care of their skin, massages, and just making sure you're taking care of yourself for relaxation, for mental health, which I know we'll talk a little bit more about later on. But mentally, physically, it's very much needed.
Yeah. And we're sorry about that noise. It's the train. We are at Railroad Park, so of course we're gonna have some railroad action. So yeah, we're gonna talk about. Well, first I want to say, like, I didn't even know that you had on anything. So you said it's moisturizer.
It's a tinted moisturizer.
Okay.
So I like to wear it in the summer because it has SPF in it. So if I don't wear my tinted moisturizer, I may just put on my sunscreen on my face. So I have both.
Okay.
But sometimes I do a tinted moisturizer.
What's the brand?
Oh goodness, I use. Oh my goodness, this is so bad. NARS. NARS. And you can purchase it at Sephora. NARS is the brand that I love to use, and I use it occasionally. And I don't use a lot. I just do like a little drip, just a little drop, just to make sure I'm covering the areas so that when I'm in the sun. Okay. And I just got into using sunscreen. I know for Black African Americans, we were not always taught to use sunscreen, so that is something that, especially with me traveling the way I do, I travel. I actually am a little tan. I just got back from out of the country, but I had to use a lot of sunscreen because I would get burned. I would get burned a lot. I got burned a lot last summer, so that is very important. Black women, make sure you are using sunscreen or something with a SPF at least 30 or greater. They have 30, 40, 45, up to maybe 80, 90 that you can purchase sunscreen. So
I'm gonna start.
Yeah.
I think I have the wrong kind of stuff, So, but yeah. So tell us about mental health. How do you use stay grounded in your mind?
For mental health, I will be transparent. I have dealt with depression. I was not diagnosed with depression, but I have dealt with symptoms of depression. So for me, for one, I know some people think it's so cliche to say prayer, but me staying prayed up and remembering who I am to God, when you really start using those Bible verses and applying them to your life. Like sometimes we quote stuff,
Yeah.
but I really mean it. If you start reading those Bible verses and believing and quoting them when you're going through that depression,
Yeah.
I am more than a conqueror. God loves me. And just quote it. And then one of my favorites is Isaiah 26:3. That has just always been my favorite. God will keep you in perfect peace whose mind is stayed on thee. And I really, really, really use that.
Yeah.
I have also spoke with friends that we're in social work together. So seeing how they manage when they're not feeling their best, when they're dealing with depression, how to overcome those certain things. Also staying active. Like I said, I love to travel a lot.
Yeah.
And there's a such thing as seasonal depression. So living in Ohio, I think we had winter like it was winter and then there was summer.
Okay.
So for many of us, it just felt like we were just in gloomy, dark, snowy days all the time. So seasonal depression as well, because we're out in the sun, I felt like pretty much these last couple of weeks I have been happier.
Yeah.
I have been more active, going outside, walking, staying active, coming to Railroad Park, which is why I picked this location. I love to come out here. It's so therapeutic. You have water. Water is very therapeutic for me. The waterfall, the trains can be therapeutic. One day I sat and I was video recording one of the birds because there's a song that I won't let the birds cry out for me or praise God for me. So one day I was just really sitting there taping the bird, just singing because I was like, this is just so therapeutic. So coming out, getting outside, being around people, being around your loved ones, visiting with family, taking trips. That's how I manage my mental health.
Yeah.
For others, you have to do a lot more. For others, it may require medication. For me, I don't require any of that, and I thank God for that. But I love preventative measures. So just staying in my words, staying prayed up, making sure that I listen to God. God, right now, I'm not feeling my best, but I need you right now.
Yeah.
I talk to him just like I'm talking to you, and just being very transparent. And he already knows.
Yeah.
So just prayer, taking care of myself, self-care, getting a massage, facials, being out, coming to the park, walking, and also talking to people that you feel that you can trust, that you can talk to you and pray with you, going to prayer at church. And just like she said, being honest, not only with God, but being honest with others that you feel like you can trust and you can talk to, and that's going to pray for you. Hey, I'm not feeling my best today. Do you mind praying for me? I haven't been doing my best. So those are the ways that I manage and I cope, and just ways that I deal with any type of stress. But those are just ways that I deal with it.
And sometimes fasting.
Fasting is really good. Fasting has been something. And you would know it. And you know what? Sometimes it has been me fasting is where I felt like I went through my depression or after my fast, and I know that it's attack of the enemy, which is why I know fasting is very helpful. But yes, fasting is very important.
And so what about fashion? Let's talk about fashion now. So because I know that you have a certain style. And I like it. Like, it seems like it's more expensive than some of us, but like I love how she put things together. So like, what do you do and how do you put your outfits together? Like, what is your style?
You know what? I wasn't always big into fashion. I think being from up north, I'm from Ohio, outside of the Cleveland area. So I was always in certain areas where fashion was just a big deal. Detroit, Cleveland, visiting New York many times throughout the year. So always being around people that just really enjoy fashion. But I was always a shoe person.
Okay.
So anybody that knows me, like clothes, I do try to make sure I some way presentable. Just like today, I have on a dress and just a jean jacket, but I made sure that I put on my little nice Converses. But That's one thing about it is I make sure I'm comfortable in what I'm wearing.
Yeah.
Even with heels, some days it's like I'm not in the mood to
Yeah.
wear 4-inch, 5-inch heels today, so
Yeah.
I'm not gonna do that.
Yeah.
So I'm gonna wear what's comfortable, and that's one thing I will say is that whatever I wear, if I'm not comfortable, if I don't feel comfortable, or it's not something that I feel like I'm going to be comfortable in, I'm not going to wear it,
Yeah.
regardless of what it is or what the dress code is. You know, if they do need me to be business casual, then I'm going to make sure whatever I'm wearing that I feel comfortable in it. Yes, I would say make sure you're comfortable in whatever it is you're wearing. I'm very comfortable today,
Yeah.
And that's just very important. You don't want to walk around here in 4-inch heels because you feel like you want to look like everyone else, and then
Or
you go
just
home
to impress somebody.
just to impress someone. And, yeah, but I do enjoy wearing heels occasionally. But I love a flat shoe or a sneaker.
Yeah.
I love to dress sneakers up with everything. But of course, for dates and church, certain events where you know you do need to dress up a little bit more, I will put on heels. But I still try to make sure those heels are comfortable as well.
I'm learning how to. I love kitten heels, like the little ones. They're so cute to me. Like it's not too hilly. So like sometimes you want a little. So
Those are
kitten heels are so cute. But let me ask you. So how do you remain in modesty? Like with your outfits. Like even if you're looking beautiful, because a lot of people don't know how to. Like their breasts are out or like skin has to be showing. So what is your go-to, and how do you remain modest and pleasing to the Lord?
You know what? One thing that our bishop has mentioned to us is that when your relationship grows with God and you know who you are in Him and you become obedient, you start to realize and you even when you're getting dressed, you're like, it's some stuff that I want to wear this happened to me. Like I'm like I want to wear this, but I'm like, ooh,
in your spirit something's talking to you.
Your spirit does start talking to you. And then you start talking to God, and you're like, God, if this is not what I'm supposed to wear, just let me know.
Yeah.
So I will say that's how I have in the past and currently. Your spirit will start talking to you as your relationship grows with God. And I keep pointing out talking to God in your relationship is so important. For me in my life, whatever I do, sometimes I ask God, just show me if this is right.
Yeah.
Show me if this is what I'm supposed to do. If this is not something that I'm not supposed to do, show me. So I'm always asking God. I'm always talking to God, and that's why I really love that Bishop has pointed that out to us, that when you grow in God, you don't need someone to say, hey, that's too short, or hey, you need to cover up, because you will start hearing God talk to you.
Now, who is your bishop? Can you say my bishop?
Yes, our bishop, Michael L. Bender from Faith Apostolic Church, Birmingham, Tuscaloosa, and also Huntsville now.
Good. And I also wanted to say something too, like your relationship with God. That's the most important thing before you try to find a relationship with someone else.
Absolutely.
Because if you can't start hearing God and getting things in order, you won't be ready when the right one comes. You'll still be trying to figure things out and trying to get things in order. So God is trying to order your steps while you're single, so that when you get into the relationship, of course you're gonna go through some things.
Yeah.
But you'll be prepared on your end with your mental and all those spiritual aspects, so that you can be rooted and grounded in God good enough, so that when you step over into that marriage, you won't be following no foolishness, especially if some guy is not leading right or trying to go astray.
Yeah. And I'm glad you pointed that out. I don't know if preparation of how I'm preparing will be one of your questions, but for me in this season, I am working on professional self-development, spiritual development. God, with me being single, I was never a person to just go in the kitchen and start cooking. So I'm working on cooking. I'm working on like different foods that maybe I don't eat or it requires a big meal, so I'm not cooking it as much. But my aunt said, even, I'm gonna have you come over for Memorial Day, because I know you got to start working on being a wife. So now I am working on preparation. So learning how to cook. It's just some things that I'm working on within me. Making sure that whatever I dealt with in my past relationship, I'm not going to bring that into a new relationship. God, is there something in me that needs to be cleaned up? So right now, I am working on just my relationship with Him closer to him, so that when my husband comes, I don't feel like I have to bring all this unnecessary baggage, all these unnecessary things. I'm trying to learn things. Now, of course, you're going to grow, you're going to learn things with your spouse, but just certain things that I should know prior to being a wife, I'm really asking God to show me those things to prepare me to be a wife, to prepare me to be a mom. So I would say in your singleness journey, while you're waiting, make sure that you are preparing yourself and that you are getting better with things from cooking to cleaning. I love to clean. I'm not a cooker, but I do love to clean. Just everything. Just making sure that even now I'm not a mom, so when I come home, I can just relax sometimes. And sometimes I'm like, I have to get up and just remember I gotta start moving, because one day, as a wife and as a mom, I'm not gonna be able to come home and just pop down on the couch and just do whatever, you know, in my free time. So that's some steps that I am taking right now in my while I wait.
And so with, you said that you'll be able to, if your man decides, okay, he don't want you to work. Now, because so many people are in relationships with controlling and manipulative Christian people, so like, will you be able to understand when that person is, like, you know, actually, like, you know, wanting you to do that because of love, or versus control, like, you know, wanting to keep an eye on you, wanting to just keep you just in the house?
Absolutely. And I feel like you don't have to be married to recognize those signs. So
Tell them how to recognize it.
how to recognize it, I think it comes a lot from just from personally being able to just being in a household with your parents or with family members, and just seeing how they react to one another. So you can see those signs of control. And then I would say, because of my social work, besides me just being able to recognize those things in just personal relationships, of course, as a social worker, we also learn certain signs when we cover areas such as domestic violence. You know, you're knowing what signs to look out for and how to pretty much refrain from being on those type of relationships. And again, that comes with your relationship with God, just making sure that God shows you and reveals signs to you, because sometimes you know things and sometimes you don't. So again, just being able to recognize, and I'm sure even if you don't recognize, other people are going to recognize for you.
So I think sometimes it's hard for people to listen to other people, because sometimes it's, oh, you're hating, or you don't have a relationship and you're trying to block mine. But I think also, let me ask you, because there are so many Christian people who are so-called Christians, because I don't know, like, you know, what you would call a person, like, you know, they're killing and, you know, committing suicide. So it's like, the mental health, is it mental health problems, or is it just not enough Jesus in them? You know, like, what is it? Like marital, like spouses, or even in relationships, choosing the wrong relationship or partner, like, you know, living in these fornicating relationships, like, that's more, to me, opening up doors for demonic, you know, action. So
it's just spiritual warfare. As someone, like I mentioned, that dealt with depression, I mean, suicide is just one step away from depression. So I feel like that's why you really have to stay prayed up and have the Holy Ghost to deal with, I mean, to fight spiritual warfare. So I feel like anyone that's supposed to be saved, and they're dealing with all these many issues, there's attacks, there's spiritual warfare. Sometimes you out of order, you out of God's will. So I think all of that comes with that. And sometimes it's just really attacks. And knowing who you are, knowing who God is to you, and knowing what the Word says, and just really staying prayed and fasted, stay prayed up in fasting will allow you to fight those things, because it is a spiritual warfare. So you have to be able to fight those things from a spiritual.